Welcome back to the community, everybody, and thank you all for being part of it. I'm in my office today. Well, I consider it an office. It's the end of the year. Today is the 31st of December. Last week we did the Christmas Cottage tour, which will be going on to Heather's channel starting next year. But before we brush through things, thank you all throughout 2025 and every year for donating to the channel, helping with parts, purchasing stickers and t-shirts. I want to personally say thank you. You are the folks that's keeping this channel going, and I really, really appreciate that type of help. So what am I going to do? We're going to brush through real quick. What did we accomplish in 2025? Had a little bit of a slower year, and some videos I didn't put in if sponsors, had sent a floor jack or a heater or something. I didn't put those in this, but let's go ahead and brush through and take a look, and I'll catch up with you at the end, because 2026, that's it, bingo. May/June, Chaos will be on the road, and we will start on club members' cars. So let's see what we got going on here. So what did we do starting at the beginning of the year? First, we had a lot of fun with a self-interview sent in by Dino with his oval.
The car is equipped with 135 size tires. These are the original style Firestone F6. It was unique to the 50s cars. This dashboard was on the later 50s cars. All metal dash. This one's equipped with a speedometer, a odometer. It has the typical oil pressure and generator light. After 1957, they went to a much larger window, which admittedly does give much better visibility, but in my opinion, and I think the opinion of many others, not quite as pleasing on the eye.
And what was next? We did the Vever 6-liter ultrasonic cleaner. Now, they did send me a 30-liter prior to that, which was really, really big. You can put cylinder heads in that thing. But let's take a peek at this. If you see here, I wanted this one too because it has full wave, semi-wave, and it has degas. Now, I've not done a million hours of research on it, but degas, I believe, is degassing the water that you put in out of your spigot. It just helps bring it to temperature quicker than putting cold water in and trying to heat it, because it's no reason for it. It just takes twice as long. I'm going to go ahead and crank it up. Well, I got to lower it down. We're going to lower it down to about 60 degrees Celsius. So I want it to look nice. So, all right, be back in 5 minutes. All right, there's about 2 minutes to go. So I messed with this a little more and come out pretty good. I ran it in the ultrasonic cleaner for about 7 minutes altogether and polished it up a little bit, and it came out really nice. Then a friend of mine, Keith, some of you may know from the live chats, Dog, asked me if I could do a 28 picked one carburetor for him, and he shipped it to me. I rebuilt it and shipped it back. And no, he wasn't looking for free work, but he has donated a lot to the channel, and it was a wonderful thing to do for him. I really had a lot of fun. It is the 28 picked one, and he is missing the outlet for the fuel, or should I say inlet. Okay, but I got that hooked up. I'll show you in a minute. There was an aftermarket return spring bracket put on by his father, which I think is really cool. It was well thought out and probably worked very well. For my GoPro to strap it to my chest, so you're right up front with me like you are now, and I can't find it because my garage is a mess. Things I'm going to show you to make sure you take apart. All right, what I am going to do is measure this to the new one that come in a package, because we want the right size. Now, I did wind some studs in here that he sent me, new ones in a package. I forgot to hit the record button, but no big deal. You're just winding them in. Now, if you remember on a video that I did not too long ago, I did a video on barbed fittings. so they don't slide out. Now, this one does seem pretty tight, but I'm not going to mess with it. It says request. He wants it factory, and I understand. So while I was at it, I thought, you know what? Why don't I show how the choke element works, aka choke thermostat? And I did a video on that for some folks. What I want to do is go over a couple of things on it. As you can see, I got a little bit of carburetor action going on. Now, when your choke is in the wide open position, technically that would mean that your car is warmed up, or should I say the carburetor and motor are warmed up. The choke will be closed like that. Do you see how that arm controls that? And that is because this is attached to the arm inside the choke element housing. That one here, which actually opens and closes the choke. There we go. That's the ground. Would be this end right there. So I'm going to hook that up. Then came sunroof cable adjustments. A lot of folks do run into problems with those, so I thought, you know what? Why not? Come out of adjustment. I think somebody messed with mine before I got the car, obviously. Now, these sunroofs aren't as hard as they appear, okay? You just have your cables going up through the tracks. Let me see if I can find some old footage here of one that I did on the Super Beetle. Now, this is from a previous video, but what I'm showing real quick here is the cables go through a tracking. On some newer style ones, you're going to see this right here. And that's what is different about them. Come on, get on there. You can do it, kiddo. I might be turning quick, but I'm not cranking on it. You're going to turn it a half turn counterclockwise, and don't turn it any further. You're going to put that in. And like I said, don't go crazy on these. Give it a little snug. That's all you need. So we're going to close it. It's sunny out. Our head is hot. We're playing Let's Pretend. Okay, and boom. That squeak we'll get rid of. Okay. And then we did a video, how safe are vintage cars? Pretty much Volkswagen Beetles and all cars, but that was a fun video to do.
Okay, another safety feature is roll bars. Now, I don't think they're pretty, but they're safe. So they make 4-point, as you can see here. And they make 6-point, as you can see here.
So a nice thing to do is to switch to disc brakes. Now you can go ahead and just do the fronts if you want, and they do sell a residual valve to put more pressure to the back drums. Now, something else is our lighting. Now, I probably won't upgrade to LED, or I may. I won't know until I get on the road again. It's been a little while. Do the LED lights make a huge difference? Yes. In today's society, people aren't as cautious as they used to be years ago.
Let's talk about seats. High back bucket seats are safer, but as you know, I purchased these for Slade, and he said that he wanted the low back seats, and that's why I got them. But are they safer? No. And the reason these are not as safe is if you're going down the road and you got an impact from behind, your head's going to snap back.
And if you remember the first time around on the channel, I did a complete headliner install. It was a 3-part series. But this time I got a little lucky, a couple little blemishes to fix. So I showed how to do a headliner refurbish. So this is the type of crap you do when you want people to have a POV, point of view. Little blemishes here and there that I am going to repair. And I'll show you up on the sunroof what happened. Now that is the sunroof while I'm back inside, and you can see where the headliner wraps up and around. for back there, I want to go ahead and use a heat gun. I'm going to let it go for a couple of weeks. A heat gun, let it cool, heat gun, let it cool, and it will shrink a lot of them spots right up. I've done it before. So, and of course, Heather stepped in like she does once in a while for me because I had kidney stones at that point, but I never miss a week. And she did the sound deadener installation inside of the car.
See what it looks like. Now, typically it runs about $20 a roll, but Home Depot had it for $17, which was a steal. $28.50.
Now what you see Heather doing is basically warming it with the hairdryer. Don't hold it too long and make it melt.
Okay, I'm going to run my roller across the top of that.
Then we decided to step out of the garage when somebody I know had found in an old barn, I believe an old garage, a 1970 convertible. The last year of the standard convertible, we went and did an interview on that. So this is a 70. This is the last year of the standard Beetle in a convertible style.
Yeah, I've had a lot of people say, well, they make convertibles later. And I'm like, yeah, but they were all Super Beetles.
Right. Yeah,
Well,
they were.
And so I think the general statistic is 1 in 100 Beetles were convertible.
Right.
I love the 1600 single ports.
Well, the single port has more torque.
Just,
So, I mean, that's what's nice.
yeah, and then it has a 3031 carb.
Okay.
The one thing I did notice is the choke isn't working.
Oh, almost. Wow, it sounds good. Oh, yeah. Then I went ahead and I did a time lapse to finish up some of the sound deadener. I made a quick video out of it to show folks who missed the first one. A lot of times people don't scroll back far enough, and I understand that. I have a bad habit of doing that. And when I needed to have the other door panel diamond tufted, I'm not sure what Heather calls it, she stepped in and did a video for me.
And I have a yardstick. You're also going to need polyfoam and vinyl. And then you want to spray it on each one and let it sit for a little bit. Through the vinyl. Okay, and make sure you don't get staples that are too long that would go all the way through. It's really hard with these little pins. So
now what we're going to do, I'm going to push a button in here and then I'm going to flip it over so Heather can go ahead and show you what we do on the other side.
all done.
Then we stepped back out again and found somebody that had a military spec NATO thing a VW thing NATO spec. I'd never seen one in real life, so we went and interviewed. This was a must-have.
Yeah, especially because
I've never really seen one in person. I'm not kidding.
this is the only one I've ever seen in person. And
That
I've
is
been to
amazing.
so many shows. I've seen more Kubel wagons than I've seen the military things.
Right. Like, this is so rare to find a real military one.
Oh, and so this specific car was Mexican built, but if you look in the interior, the dash plaque, it has the German med kit sticker on the dash.
There's one there
And then there's
where
one
the
on
rifle sits and then clamps on. And they were from the factory that way.
Yeah.
We'll check the motor area out in a minute. Does it have the...
Right in here.
Okay.
And what's funny is I thought I'd never get a military one, and that was one of the accessories I tracked down for the other car. But I never knew where the factory handle went. Now I do.
That's the crank. It comes out of there, and it's hard to see, but there is a nut on the crank. Then we decided to do a video. How simple are these cars to work on? Are they really that easy?
Most cars, you have to deal with the hinges to get the door off. But on Beetles, all you have are screws, like you see here.
Okay, the door wanted to come off. You gotta figure these been in there forever. There. Loosen this one up a little. Come on, them threads made such a difference. Come on. Get out of there.
On modern cars, did you ever have to remove your shifter? On Beetles, you only have two 13mm bolts to remove the shifter. It's easy as that, because oftentimes we like to change out shifters or replace our bushings, and that makes it so much easier.
With a regular Beetle seat, you're basically unhooking a spring, lifting your adjustment handle that moves the seat forward and backward. You're just sliding the seat right off of its tracks. And of course, I jumped back to the sunroof because I'm all over the place. There's a surprise. And we did a sunroof removal video and reinstallation of it to show how it came apart and went back together. Great time to show a video on sunroof removal, and then I'll slip in at the end of putting it back in, and then I'll slip in how to adjust it. We're going to remove these first, and I'm going to explain once I remove them what the deal is with them. And it'll all make sense to you. When this is in place and you are turning this screw counterclockwise, it presses against the bracket, which elevates the sunroof up. You can see the opening here to make it swivel. You're going to pull this down just to clear the cable, and you're going to slide this over. Then it was time for the swing axle refresh. We're going to drain it first. I'm going to wire wheel all of it and clean it up because I don't want this dirt getting inside of the transaxle. Okay, and off it comes. Now, be careful because the axle can fall out. There is a notch on this. It only goes in one way. There we go. Hold your finger. I'll show you in a minute. No damage, which is good. Sometimes if you see them chipped or what have you, well, then you know it's damaged. Now, and while I had it apart, I got stuck swapping out a side cover and messing with the differential bearing. So I thought I better show this to some folks. It's pretty serious. I had a heck of a time getting the side cover off. I even cut the film down so you weren't bored too long. This Bowden tube has probably been in there for 60 years. I lubricated it, heated, was pounding on it, and it broke off the side cover. You want to try to get it as close to the outer edge as possible so you don't ruin the bearing. This bearing is in very nice condition. This way. take a peek. When I do put it on, this is pretty big, my hand, it spins very smooth. Set it in place. Give me 1 second here. I got a dead blow hammer. I just want to get it started lightly. So then we hit the pause button for a minute and we did a strip and paint on the swing axle because I think it deserved it. All right, they come out pretty nice. Now, what you see around here, I'm going to go ahead and just hit it with Quado steel wool. And for those who don't like the old school throwout bearings, and I don't, I like the 71 and up, I showed something quite unique. I don't believe there's any other on YouTube that I'm aware of, is we changed over to the newer style cross shaft so that it accepted the newer style throwout bearing, clutch, and pressure plate. Come on. I don't care about this one, so don't matter if the clips break, but they didn't, so it's okay. Sure, if they were in the car under pressure, they would have. All right. Now I have the snap ring, and of course it'll still be in one video here. I'll just edit it. This bushing here I'm not going to take out. The transmission friend of mine, when I ordered the conversion kit, he says, you're probably going to need a new bushing kit. He didn't even know this happened yet. He said, get the bronze kit. So I did get that here, 15.95. All right. So when Brian told me that, I was like, uh-oh. So I went ahead and I measured, and same thing, 15.65. That's the 16 millimeter shaft. To do now is line the grub screw up and put it in, and I'll show you why. Now, as I said, you have your mark there. What we were looking for. It rides on the collar, no problems. Then my buddy Dino brought something to my attention, who has his own shop, and said, you know, I don't think people know enough about the real dangers of not checking the rag joint, is what I call them, steering coupler. And I thought I better do a video on that so folks are aware that's a maintenance item. And approximately every 6,000 miles back in the day, people let that get away from them after time had went on. There's something very important that you need to check. This right here, let me bring you in close. This is very vital. And I will show you a 3-minute video of where I discuss it and which one to buy. A lot of people like these. We'll see how it holds out. Made in Germany. SGF 95. Seems hard as a rock. I thought it would be a little bit soft, which is odd. First, I'm going to take a little steel brush. Then it was time to do the brake lines and hoses. Why not? I showed people me doing brake lines. Probably boring, but for some, it showed them the way they went on and different things of that nature. Go from the master cylinder up to the reservoir. New rear brake lines. I'm sorry, brake hoses. I bought the metal lines that come from the reservoir down to the master. Front brake hoses. And it looks like we're going to be about 9 inches close to there. So let's see which one we have close to 9 inches. Now I do have a diagram here to show, and you can get these online since I was dumb enough to throw my brake lines out. Clip, And take a little mallet and give it a little tap. Okay. And that's what it will look like. Then it was time for the swing axle, boots, and gaskets. I did not have fun doing the one-piece swing axle boots. They were not that hard. I should have probably warmed them up, but we got it done. I have everything clean and ready and set up. I already took my Daisy and I used a Scotch-Brite pad and cleaned it off. I didn't remove any material, that is. I have 2 different gasket sets. We'll go over them in a minute. This spacer and bearing are not going to go on yet. There was 3 in there. I don't know if they're all the same size. So let's see what it took to shim them in the beginning, which would have been around 36 and a half, so about 36,000. So these are the ones that I picked up. Sometimes you got to wiggle them around. It can be a little bit of a pain. I ain't never fought with a boot like that. I mean, that thing is extremely hard. It shouldn't be like that. And since I was doing disc on the front and drum in the rear, I put a residual valve on the brake line system. Some people do it, some people don't. Some people say, it don't matter. I think it does. I guess it's all based on opinion. 6-inch probably would do it, but I don't know. I don't want to end up kinking it. I gave myself some extra slack. You only need one, but just in case I kink one, I have another one, and then over on the shelf in the garage. All right, these are 1/8-inch National Pipe threads, SAE fittings. They can be unthreaded. Obviously, you're going to need to, because we got to go to metric. Frustration part momentarily, because I've got to make sure I don't kink anything. And I need to get this one out of the way, my main line, without kinking it. Just ignore me a minute. I'm getting a visual on what to do. Around there, I keep sliding it a little more. These are buggers when you got to do, oops, sorry, a really tight bend. Okay, let me get check out a second. All right, just take your time when you're doing this stuff. Remember, you're not in a race. Then it was time, even though I already had the complete front beam, the empty in the box beam, end to end, but it was time to do the disc brake conversion with a 0 offset drop spindle. That was a lot to say.
Way back a year ago, I've changed for the better this time.
So remember, the driver's side, you turn to the right to get it off. To put it on, you turn it counterclockwise. On the other side, it is lefty-loosey, righty-tighty. That makes sense. It did. Weird things happen when you're moving stuff around. There we go. And push your bearing in like that. Before you put anything on, just give it a spin. Brand you have. You always check to make sure it fits. Okay, good deal. Let me get on the bottom here and do these, and then I'll move the camera around. Then it was time for the swing axle install. I think that was probably helpful to quite a few folks installing the transmission, but I lost one. I'll find it. But everything's pretty much ready. I'm going to switch the jacks out. I'm going to have to get the floor jack, because I don't believe the transmission jack, your joke here, it's not made for Volkswagens, is going to fit up in between here. So I went through quite a few washers in my little box before I found them, but I wanted them to recess in there. And we'll put our wavy washers on, and I always wire wheel the nuts right there. Come on. Jeez. There we go. Okay. either transaxle you have is going to pretty much bolt up the same way. Make sure you do not cross thread them. Here's the big wavy washer at 166 foot-pounds. Now we're going to go ahead and slide underneath the car and get it mounted up to the front mount with our ground strap. Okay, so we are under the car, and here is your mount. Now remember, we have got to mount the tranny to the mount. Then we took out time to show how to do the rear bearings and seals on a swing axle, which is pretty important that that's done properly, or you have oil squirting everywhere. Ugh. Hopefully no issues. I'm going to pre-grease them anyhow just because I like to. What we're going to start with is cleaning these up because everything has to be clean. I'll talk to you about the holes for drainage. I push that through. See that? Okay. Oil will drain down through here, and so you got to get it down in there. Check it. Clean your threads up. Make sure this is almost polished. You want it nice and clean. Next, our bearing is going to go on. And remember, put that spacer in. Ring that came in a kit. It's going to slip over top of your bearing. Okay. 14 millimeter. Don't go crazy. You got to torque them properly. Okay, and click, click. Hopefully we have no oil leaks. Remember, the way I did this, keep everything how it's supposed to be. Then it was time for me to show how to replace the brake light switches on the master cylinder. Some do it while they're in the car. I preferred to take it out to torque them properly so we didn't crack the master or have other issues. Now, mine, the middle switch, is for the idiot light like you would see here. And yes, I always call them idiot lights. So I am going to stay with them. They do have a tapered thread, okay? And the reason I brought that up is I won't be using any type of Teflon tape or sealer or Loctite or anti-seize or baby powder, whatever. I'm not going to use that on the threads. They're going in dry. So not a big deal, but make sure you get something to catch the brake fluid in. The play in this is vital. See something with my other one. It is a good thing I checked. This wasn't clicking, and I don't know why. So I put my old school one on there, and it was actually at 16 pounds. Ugh. So here's something that I had a blast. Now, I didn't bother with too many pictures or photos. However, we had our club picnic, which was a great time. The Slade Club Community Picnic. We had a blast. But guess who showed up? Dan, the owner of VW Trends magazine, came to my home, had dinner with me, and allowed me to interview him. What a marvelous man. I really had a great time with that. Back to the community, everybody, and thank you for being part of it. And who do we have here today?
Dan Ledbetter from VW Trends Magazine, and I am in Slade's garage. I can't even believe it. It's like one of those things where you watch, those videos about Universal Studios, and then you go there. That's how I feel here.
Yeah,
I'm at Universal Studios.
I appreciate that, but this is just a garage.
We have a new mandate. We want you to fire all the assistant managers throughout all the stores, and I loved my assistant manager. The guy was just on point. He was sharp. I was grooming him to be a manager because he was that good.
Right.
And I said, no, I'm not going to fire the guy. Magazine means you're doing 3 weeks on or 3.5 weeks on, and then you get a couple days off, and then boom, you're doing it all over again.
That is a large amount of dedication. That's amazing.
And even when you're young, right? I was relative, and I had hair back then, so it's like other people.
I get
it's
it.
Like I want to do something. Not only do I want to do something that's my own, I want to do something that gives back to a community that gave so much to me.
And that's a big deal. And go ahead, I'm sorry.
No.
I love giving back and helping.
It is.
And I know, but spending the day with this gentleman here He is all about helping people and being fair. Then we moved along and we did handbrake cable adjustment and, of course, installation. I try to keep stuff plain and simple so it's easily to understand, but things that people need. Whoops, too long. It was already off. Remember, I'm checking something a minute here. You have to, and they won't loosen. You can put your wrench on, 10 millimeter, put your screwdriver in the slot, and then you can hold it while you're loosening and push that, and that pin will come out. Okay, we're going to clean, polish, and grease that for smoother operation. Up. It pulls the cable that way. So when you pull the cable that way, watch this shoe. You use two hands. See how it kicks out? Going at the bottom of the car. You're going to go ahead. Remember, you have it disconnected up front, right? Okay. You're going to pull. Just remember, I'm repainting mine, so I'm doing it while I got it apart. But this, you want to clean all this up if you do take it apart. Mine is already done. We'll go inside in a minute. You want to make sure it don't go too far. Keep feeding it. But you want to check once in a while inside so it don't pass up the hole that I'll show you in a second where it needs to come up through. Okay, let's go around the front of here. So we got the cable securely bolted in with its bracket. Make sure they're coming up around it, which they are. Our pin, we lost it. Oh, there it is. Okay. Then I did put on a new main seal, flywheel seal, crankshaft seal, rear main seal. All depends on what you believe in. And I put on a new chrome moly flywheel, a chrome moly gland nut, and also a new clutch and pressure plate. Why not film it? Brake pad, I can't say that word. I'm going to run it around there. Oh my, yeah, that made a huge difference. See how smooth it is now? The O-ring goes inside of here, and there it is right there. A little bit of a, I just want to get it kind of started a little bit. Like that. That's a chrome moly. Pretty, huh? Something with you real quick. Beautiful. Okay, you just always want to make sure there's no ridges or anything, you know, that could cause an issue. There we go. Whoop. So now you can see, make sure you get enough grease around there, but don't be a pig and get it all over the place. We're going to have it sit still there for a second. We're going to go ahead and at least get the bolts in, and then we'll torque them, and then we're going back to the throw bearing and show you a couple things. So let's check these. And this one, you can see the fingers going in now. There we go. Then a friend of mine reached out, Brian, who is a transmission rebuilder, and a wonderful friend of mine. He don't live very far. I'm thankful for that. And he said, hey, Slade, we got a problem here. A lot of people are noticing that their input shafts and their trannies have some play. So he said, I'm going to make up a short video with one opened up and show why they have a little play and that it's nothing's wrong with their transmission. So let me bring you up close so you can see it better. So here's the input shaft. And as you can see, mine don't have as much play as some, but I've had others that had a lot more slop back and forth. Okay, so as you can see there is some play. So that doesn't mean something is wrong with your transmission.
Okay, Slade, this is basically the guts of a Type 1 4-speed transaxle laid bare without the case. And this rests in the gland nut of the engine itself. So the only bearings you have is a main shaft bearing all the way back here. That's over a foot, close to 16 inches from this small needle bearing in the transmission housing all the way to the needle bearing in the gland nut. I hope this helps.
Then it was time to lower the car in the back. Now, I didn't go crazy with camber, if that's what you want to refer to it as, but I did want the car lowered. It was sitting a little too high in the back, so I showed how to address the torsion plates and adjust them. These are from Wolfsburg West. They're nice and soft. You want soft ones. They will work much better. I bought 2 of these bolts. These are 10 by 1.5 by 40 millimeter long. And the reason I did this, when you're putting on your torsion caps, okay, the bolts on there, I believe, are 18 millimeter long. They hold your plate to the axle tube. And we'll take these out. Hang tight. Let's get up here and start tightening it up. Careful, and then you have to pry it out or hit it from behind. Now, I brought up the angle finder earlier. This is when you would use it. When you get finder right now, I scribed a line right here, and I put one here. See how we have our mark here and our mark there. Okay. This end here, sorry, goes into the trailing arm further. So here's what I was talking about. Let me position you well here. Now, as you can see, the 18 millimeter in length, they are not going to pull it in. Then after that, I found out I rolled the car back for a few times and it went off level. Unbelievable. But that's okay. I did a follow-up video showing how to adjust to get your car level. Look like that moved a little, maybe. 25 1/4. One more. Passenger front, you need to do this, okay? And we are at 24 1/2. Sprayed it with Croil. Okay, tighten a little, loosen a little, like that, but it's perfect over there. So I'd like to bring this down about a 1/2 inch, but I'm going to try something first. Outside, on both ends, I wire wheeled with a brass brush and cleaned up all the splines. That way it'll slide it in out easier. Just don't stick your fingers in there. Don't be an idiot. Now, if you'd like, while this is all apart, you can paint everything nice and pretty, but my car is going to be a driver. Oh, what do we got here? We got 24 1/4. Then somebody that I know said, and I know them on a personal level, I have a bus for sale. Do you know any way that you could help me with that? And I said, yes. So I did a video on it showing the bus and it being for sale. Panel bus with the extra windows. It's a walkthrough, he called it. So let's look here first. I just think these are unique. I don't know much about them though, so you'll have to assess what these little extra features are. Back in here without getting bit or anything weird. This might be an extra door, but I'm not sure. I really don't know, but it appears to be that way. $2,000, I will say. I'm actually quite surprised. It is every bit worth it. Then after that, I came to the decision, when the 68 is done, chaos on the channel, probably May or June, instead of doing the 77 that I had, it was time to sell it off to somebody else. It was a nice car. And I figured it's time for me to start doing club members' cars. So I sold the 77. And that's okay, because doing club members' cars on video, I think, is going to be a lot of fun this coming year. I have the title. It's a clean title in my name. And we have a notary up the street. Second of all, the heater channels and the door pillars, as I will show you, are solid. Okay, we're going to go ahead and open up the trunk. We'll look inside here. Doesn't look like it's ever been hit. It's solid in the front. Let me switch sides. And you can see it was never hit in the front end. I hit them with a hammer. I won't do that on film, but they're nice and solid. I don't detect any rot at all with it. Don't believe, because it would have been fuel injection. But somebody already migrated it over to carbureted. By the looks of that curve on a fan shroud, the pulley right there, the bracket right there, this was a C car. And why did I do another custom seat video? Because I wanted to. Because this one on the passenger side, I wanted to show a couple more detail on it. and show how far back you can sit with your legs almost stretched out and the comfort level and things of that nature. Because we're going to have to bolt this to these. Don't touch that, it's hot. All right, let me take this little piece off of here. It still shouldn't be a little hot. I'm going to have to, let me get a file. I'm just showing you what I do. You do what you want. Okay. Ooh, this ratchet is strong. These Milwaukees are something. Gonna adjust the back one over. Got to do is drill holes through here because we want these bolted to these. Come on. There we go. Bolt and flat pusher. There we go. Once I do that, I think I am going to lower it a little bit more. I like sitting low. It's just how I like to sit. So, but at least I'm not up against the windshield. They're very soft. Then, of course, you know that the first car on here was painted by a friend of mine, the red Super Beetle, with Rust-Oleum out of an HVLP gun. So this time I'm doing Rust-Oleum out of the cans with Spray Max 2K Clear with hardener. And I thought, I'm going to go ahead and start showing a lot of that. So the first thing I did was the door so that you can be up and close and watch the spray patterns. All right, let's get on it. This is what I used here is the filler primer. Nice. Okay, well, the inner side, it's scuffed down and ready. So that's all done. I'm going to flip the door over and time lapse in a high speed of me prepping the primer part. I'll use 800 grit. Maybe I can, let me see here. Oh, I think I pulled it off. Guess I should just bring the table over and not be a dum-dum. Get it up a little higher. Yeah, but if you don't want to buy a compressor, a hose, and everything else, and a gun, this is nice for a DIYer. Okay, that's why I'm doing it this way this time around. And we are going to hit start, okay? And while that's running, I'll speed it up in a second. Probably get away with 3 coats and then do your gloss of 3 coats of clear coat. However, I want to do 4 coats because I did run into a little fisheye there. I'll show you in a minute. It's leveling up. I'm a little shocked by that. Okay. Clear coat. Let's go over that right now. All right. So it is leveling up. Always a surprise. The clear coat, Spray Max. And something I enjoy doing is talking. I'm sure you're aware of that. I do apologize. It's okay, you like it. However, custom mods and add-ons. I had a great time making that video, to be honest with you. I love stuff like that. Think of these little cars that we were buying back in the day for 500 bucks, maybe even cheaper. Tell me your story in the comments. We just think of a little Volkswagen Beetle that we ran around in, commuted in, had fun in, hung out. I know I did when I was young, where you can at least put stuff. I like it. I think it's a great addition. And of course, if you watched the video, Heather did diamond tufted door panels for me. Yeah, that one. Now, I just painted this door, so I'm not putting it on right now, but that's what it would look like. They have T-handle shifter, drag shifters, a couple different kinds. So that is a really nice mod that I've done to all my Beetles because it makes the shift feel a little bit better. Here is one I highly recommend. I know I drive you folks all nuts about it, but custom seats. As long as you take your time and do the install properly and safely, you will be fine. I did this style of seats, and now I did this styles. These are Scat Pro cars. These are a little more expensive than the first round that I did in the last car. And some of our members from down south took out time to do a car show photo gallery for us. And that was nice of them because I can't get down there, well, as of yet. And they did a picture send in for me, and we turned it into a video. In Maggie Valley, North Carolina. We had 3 different members send in photos that they took so that you could all enjoy it.
Been through a lot of pain. Some things are not the same as they were a year ago, but all will be okay. I move on each and every day. The past is where it stays, way back a year ago. I've changed for the better this time. I thought I would go all in. I'll bet on myself, you keep stalling. I hear destiny and it's calling. I'll keep my head up high through the downs and lows, and we're all going life. Still nobody knows, but I'ma choose what's right and take what comes and goes. And ain't no one in life holding me back no more.
Then came the big question. A lot of people were saying, you're going to use Rust-Oleum in cans. It won't hold up. Yes, it does. When you use Spray Max 2K Clear over it with a hardener in it. So we did a Q&A on Spray Max 2K Clear, and that was the next video. Is a dust mask. This is used for sanding purposes and debris, things of that nature. So your health is more important than a paint job. So take this and use it for sanding. Do not use it with painting or any type of urethanes. And it has a really long-lasting finish to it. And it is really highly resistant to gasoline and chemicals. So this is much better than doing one without the catalyst in it. What the 2K means is it's a product that actually contains both the clear coat and the activator. The activator is built into the can. And the activator in it, catalyst, needs to be mixed with the clear coat inside. Once you have this hardener mixed in with the clear coat, then obviously you're getting the same as an HVLP gun, mixing clear coat and hardener together. So that's what 2K stands for, 2 parts, catalyst / hardener. Then I realized I didn't do a video completely on the 68 coming home and where it is currently at. So we took our time and showed bringing it home from the junkyard, just a couple little things throughout to where it's at now. That was a fun video to do. About 20 minutes, but I ain't gonna have to stretch the film out long, obviously. But I'll go ahead and cut back to it when she gets to the house. I'm gonna quickly just set the deck lid and trunk lid on so that, you know, it. We brought home in 1968, and when I was 16, that was my first car, was a 68. This is perfect. The underneath of it is solid. All right. Each inspector had a number, and they would take chalk and stuff or markers and write that the car was inspected at that part. Look at that. It's still on there. Perfect. Of course, Heather stepped in and said, I wonder if it runs. I said, no, it's not going to run. She says, I see people saying, will it run? I says, all right, we'll try. I'll film it. And if it's a flop, we'll show it on video. But, all right, when I tell you just crank, when I tell you let go, you know, the whole ordeal.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we're going to throw the hose into... Oh, yeah! See? I realized how bad the rear bumper brackets were and the extended end of the quarter panels in the back. Then a video talking about everyone's favorite, bolt-on horsepower. Now, you're not going to go out and race a Hellcat, but at the same time, there are ways of giving it some more oomph to get up hills. And maybe race a Yugo. That was dumb. A lot of folks like to run out and grab these chrome air filters. Okay, and I know they look cool. I get it. But if you do that, you might want to upjet your stock Solux carburetor, because sucking all that air in, okay, is causing a lean condition. And I know I'm right about that. So you will want to upjet if you do decide that you wanted to go and look cool with the chrome air cleaner. There's nothing wrong with that. So let's talk carburetors first, okay? Because that's everybody's big addition all the time is carburetors. And that's not a bad thing. It's a nice bolt-on situation that you can increase power fairly quick. Let's talk headers. Everybody's fun thing is exhaust system, because you like the sound and, you know, that's the deal. I think everybody's after that nice sound. Now, Vintage Speed makes some nice exhaust systems. And Dino Styles, who had made a really big donation to the channel with authentic center lines. Authentic, not knockoffs. Unbelievable. So we did a video on how to polish aluminum wheels, and Heather did step in and do that for me.
We have 3 products in front of us. We're going to use Neverdoll. It's a cotton wadding. We're going to use Mother's aluminum polish. And we're going to try Flitz polish. This was suggested to us by Johnny. Chrome's good. And as you can notice, my gloves fit me today because I bought myself gloves.
Yeah, there's definitely a difference. That's the Neverdoll, and that's the aluminum polish. Stand it straight up. It's hard on camera to always show. In between, when I got a little busy, because life is real, family first. Yes. I did a merge of a lot of our salvage yard visits, and I made a salvage yard compilation video up. And I actually enjoy doing that.
Let me, hold on.
Okay. Get it open. Wow. Original radio's still in it. You ain't gonna be able to see in there probably. Yeah, that one's toasted. Got another Beetle here. I need that steering wheel. This one's probably smoked. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's that vinyl. Here's an older one.
A white rag top.
Oh geez. Let's see what's in here. Yep, an old single port. Wow. Old school. seats, fenders, and Dororama. I don't think I need any doors. So I was getting ready on the front end to start doing some sanding and priming, at least get the front end all in primer, and I noticed the one fender was not even, and that will drive me nuts. So I did a video to show how to get your fenders nice and even so they're even with the front apron and even the back, and fill it. However, you can see this is lined up at the bottom and our indentation, our curve, is lined up perfect. So when you go to the other side, you can see where we're off here. So this needs brought down to here, and obviously this needs lowered. Slotted area, and there's no, I'm sitting here measuring a 1/4 inch on each one. You can slot them as big as you want to, just don't be a nut job and cut a big hole. With that, I can't smile enough. I can't stand when the fenders are uneven. Somebody did ask me on our Facebook group, are you doing engine compartment seals soon? I wasn't, but I went ahead and did it so they could watch the video. And here, let me spin it around, is the part number. You see how this has an angle on it. I'm trying to get it positioned right. See what I mean? See how it's angled? Now, I've seen some folks saying to put them in this way so it's angled up like this. You don't want to do that, okay? That is not what the manual calls for. You want to put it on like that so the flap is down, upper lip, so that I can lock it in place, so to speak. I'm just doing this for filming purposes. Now, you see this here, right? Okay. People sometimes get messed up with this. Do you see the little piece here? Look at that. That's what slides in there. Should be able to. It sticks a little bit. There we go. Now, I'm going to tuck this behind here. And this is still here. So you can trim a little bit of this off if you'd like to. That's up to you. Now, as you know, this is part 1. I'm going to be doing the removable apron. And while I was at it, hey, removable apron time. I promised it. I delivered. I was a little late on it, maybe 20 years. Not that long. But I did the removable apron. I'm really happy with that. That makes life simple. And you're going to drill the spot welds. Make sure not to drill through the inner well, so to speak, the quarter section. You can use a spot rug cutter like this, but you've already disconnected it possibly because of the spot welds. So I'm going to set this in place because a lot of this is going to need cut off. Strike a line here up to there, and just like that. This one here, I'm just going to take this here. I'm going to take a little bit of that lip. Now, these are things you're going to run into, okay? If you're using your factory one that you're taking off and putting on, you won't do half the amount of cutting I'm doing, probably. Looks nice. And we have our seal in. So just for giggles, what stunt did I pull? Yes, I did a video on what oil should you use. That raises some eyebrows, let me tell you. But I was surprised in the comments. It was beautiful. It wasn't like you normally see. We have a lot of great folks. You know, I know, everybody knows. When you get on a group on Facebook or a forum online and you say, which oil should I use? People have a meltdown. So if you rub two pieces of metal together, the friction on the contact between the surfaces create a lot of heat. And if there's pressure, you too will have galled and burned messes going on. He lives in a state where it's very hot. Ooh. I did explain to him that that was not a good idea to quickly get the oil changed out. He disagreed with me. I thought, well, why are you messaging me just to debate with me? But it's okay. A debate is good sometimes. So he definitely cooked his motor. It's over. And from the Bentley orange manual is what I call it, because there was a blue manual prior, early 60s. The early 60s one, there wasn't no multi-weights. So they were just listing 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 weight. And I thought, wow, everybody was so kind. Nobody argued or debated like people normally do when you bring up oil. People lose their mind. I thought, I want to test something else here. That's when I did a video, Super Beetle versus Standard Beetle. Now, obviously, most of you know that I like them both. I have a passion for these cars. Again, I couldn't get nothing out of it. Everybody got along in the comments, was telling what they have, and that made my heart happy. Folks do believe that the Supers were faster and larger. That don't really know enough about them. Like I said, it's not to put anybody down. It's just a common thing. When you first look at the Standard Beetle and a Super Beetle, when they're not side by side, somebody new to the game or, you know, still learning and looking around at Beetles probably really doesn't notice the difference. Super Beetle is absolutely longer. The Super is approximately 162 inches. And I may be off by a quarter inch or so, so don't freak out. That's just a close measurement. So it does make the Super about 3 inches longer than the Standard Beetle. Now the Standard will weigh in between 1,600 and 1,950 pounds. And again, I read differences all over line. So it's right in that variance. I've noticed it to be mostly around 1,700 pounds and a little bit more for the Standard. This is oil-filled shocks. This is not gas shocks. But you really can't barely move them. Now, I'm not saying it's horrible, but they're definitely not like the McPherson struts. That's when the Super Beetle became notarized as more comfortable, handling better, and a much more comfortable ride. Not like that. Swapping parts over from a Super Beetle to a Standard Beetle on the front end, it's not happening. However, from the front of the front door, did I say that right? It is the same all the way back. And then I come to find out there was a comment sent to me about our bloopers that happened. You know, there's probably so many bloopers and edits that I deleted. I never edit out mistakes. I never edit out struggles. But a lot of the bloopers I just throw out because I don't even look at them as bloopers. But somebody had said to me, hey, can you make a video up combining all your bloopers? That took me a whole week of going through each video and finding out the bloopers and putting them into one. That is my favorite. I'm sorry to say, that is my favorite video. Here's just a couple little wee clips from it.
Hey there, what's your name? You want to make out?
Stop.
Okay. I need a straight screwdriver for my reindeer that I bought from the Habitat. It's messed up, so I just need a screwdriver. A little one. Okay, that works. Why are you just standing there?
Give me 1 second.
It's okay.
As you can see, I'm running 205s in the back. I like that fat, skinny look. Wide in the back, skinny at the front. That's the way we did it in the 50s. That's the way it was done in the 70s and 60s, I'm quite sure. But I always thought it looked better when from behind it looked like it had a big butt. I better not say that. It always... Okay. All right.
Okay.
Welcome back to Nice of him to send this. If you have a swing axle, you silence my phone. Yeah, babe.
What are you doing?
I'm in the middle of filming.
Oh, crap. I really needed to go to Hobby Lobby.
Let me grab a towel here and
that's why I had to get new bath towels. Because you keep taking them and bring them up the garage, and you said, "Oh, I don't know where they went."
all right.
I'm back.
And then to end out the year, as usual, we did our Christmas cottage tour so I could take a week off from the garage. And Heather does enjoy showing her Christmas decor. She's very proud of that. Not egotistical, proud of it. There's two different things. And I'm not going to show that here because it's foolish to show that on this. But I do appreciate it. As I said, there was some stuff that I left out, just minor things that I didn't put in this video. But I felt the need to do a review of the year and what we got done. The new year is starting, and we're going to get aggressive on that car. No joke. So, on that note, thank you everybody for being here. Weird seeing me in the office, I know. I appreciate each and one of you, and I mean that from the heart. No joke, I really do. I hope everyone had a beautiful Christmas. I hope you all have the most wonderful upcoming new year. And I thank everyone once again for joining the live chats. They're every Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. It's like one big family in there. We talk about everything. It is sensational. Thank you all for being part of this community. I just hold the camera. You folks make it a community. I'll see you next year.